They're away, and it's 35 laps.
Grice is the man who's tried to intimidate everyone before the start of the race today, saying he loves the first corner and wants to get the lead there no matter what.
Peter McLeod arguing with him. Dick Johnson, 5.7 litres, powering him to the lead at the outside. Fury goes into second. Grice is third. McLeod's fourth. But the green Falcon leads, the only Falcon in the field.
Grice is forced to drop in behind Johnson. Will come out of him at the end of the chute. There he goes.
Just about got him. If he can stay there, he's got him.
When Grice sets himself up in a situation like that, you've got to be a very brave man to come down on top of him, because he really does give no quarter.
Ran well at Le Mans, Allan Grice. Ran with Chris Craft and Alain de Cadenet in a Porsche 956. It was as Fury.
Oh, George Fury is gone.
And Fury pulls off.
Interesting point score situation, Will, that if Peter Brock can hold off Allan Grice, who now goes for the inside, and Brock tries to hold him, can he do it?
He's tentative on Grice because he knows how forceful Grice can be, and he's prepared to let him have it. Grice leads now.
Braking duel at the end of the straight, and Allan Grice weaving all over the place and giving Peter Brock nowhere to go.
As with 19 laps completed, Grice leads Brock, but not by very much, from Johnson in third place.
Fallen a little off the race record, back to 59.96 seconds, as David Cox in the Mazda RX-7 gets between them. Different tyre situation here again. Grice running Avon tyres, front and rear, while Brock is on Dunlops. Interestingly, Grice has 3 compounds of tyre on his car on the two left-hand, on the left-hand side. On the 2 tyres on the left-hand side, he's running a very hard compound to compensate for the really abrasive track off the bowl. On the front left, on the front right rather, he's running a medium compound tyre, and on the front rear, he's running a really soft tyre.
Lap 22 now of 35. Brock stalking Grice. Grice, called him the malevolent interferer in the Touring Car Championship, the man that never had any intention of doing the entire championship and therefore really of trying to win it. But my gee, he's loved interfering and having a good argument. He really enjoys the cut and thrust of racing, where Brock needs results, finishes, consistency, titles to justify his sponsorship. So Brock trying to work out what to do with one of the hardest arguers in Australian motor racing, a man more ready to lean on another car to do a bit of panel damage than most. Allan Grice, the race leader.
Well, Grice in the pits this morning was wonderful, Will. He was superb. He was wandering up to every competitor and saying, you know, I only wish every race was 10 first corners, because I love first corners. I love rushing in there and getting the lead no matter who I've got to lean on. And he had half the amateurs in the field quaking in their boots by the time the race started.
Well, you
today.
saw Peter Brock treating him with a certain amount of discretion earlier on when Grice came down inside him on the bowl.
We're on lap 25, and Grice and Brock are coming up to lap 5th position, Cullen, with 10 laps remaining.
Five-sevenths race distance, 25 of 35 laps. Grice, Brock, Johnson, V8s all the way. Turbocharged car fourth. So Grice, Brock still tucked in there and close and looming onto Brian.
Oh, and Thompson has been hit by Grice. Thompson was right in the middle of the track. Grice came up on him. Thompson didn't move out of the way, and Grice went straight into the side of him. Very fortunate for both drivers that they managed to get it back together again. It remains to be seen what sort of damage has been done to Grice.
A salient reminder to Peter Brock that should he not be able to get...
Let's have a look at it. Here we go. You can see Grice coming underneath Thompson, who gets himself caught between the devil and the deep blue. He doesn't know which way to go, and Grice drifts right over into him. Thompson's trying to stay down low for some reason or other, and Grice goes boom into the side of him, gets knocked around, and it's only Grice's reflexes and, in fact, a big, heavy Camaro that saves both of them going into the fence.
That's the racetrack equivalent of excuse me on a morning train. And as I say, it's a very salient reminder to Peter Brock that if you don't get past Grice very decisively, very hard, very cleanly, then you're likely to get into that sort of trouble.
probably very likely what Thompson was trying to do was to stay down low and stay out of their way and let Grice go around the outside, but it was a manoeuvre that didn't come off because Grice was already committed to going for the inside.
Brock, not daunted, looms onto Grice's tail. Johnson is not very far behind them either, and Brock goes down the inside to try and benefit from the lap car and to turn in, and he knows Grice is going to be inside him, but he's trying to stick with it, and Grice says, oh, you stay out there and I'll have you as I come through the inside here. Brock says, but I'm going to stay here and I'll be on the inside for this corner.
And he's done it.
Well done, Peter Brock. Beautiful driving.
No, but look at Grice come back
again.
Oh, go Gricey.
And Johnson onto both of them. Great stuff.
Good stuff, isn't it? This is the sort of racing we were looking for in the touring car title. Again into the braking area. Allan Grice all over the track trying to weave Peter Brock out into the marbles. Brock won't go.
And Johnson looming and saying, I'm going to profit out of this.
Brock to the inside, can't do it.
But what about under brakes for the reverse camber? Brock on Grice. How quickly can he get through the S's? Right hand, left hand, will be looking to go to the left of Grice now.
No, Grice
covered it. It's a bit like watching a pub brawl. The best spot to be in, if Brock goes fast but gets balked by Grice, the best spot to be in is an interesting spectator while the others are wearing each other out, and 5 laps remain only.
6.89 seconds back to Gary Scott in 4th position, and an additional 12.5 seconds back to Warren Cullen in 5th, as Grice holds the lead at the end of the main straight.
Brock looking though to staying back and looking to go to the right side of him there. Couldn't make it. Yes, this is Brock's fuel problem. Grice really has got the easy one. Look after Brock. Brock's got a very difficult one. Get Grice, get this man out of the way. But
Brock blocking up everything.
Don't let Dick Johnson profit out of what Grice might do to you. Sam being the steering wheel people that Allan Grice endorses, and that helped him to get to Le Mans too. And Allan Grice proving to be a more versatile driver than I think some people gave him credit for, having really done very well in the 956 Porsche. Very soon you will see some very determined driving indeed from Peter Brock. He's decided to sit back and say, okay, an intermediate argument isn't on. It's got to be one final decisive argument with this man, because he's a little bit determined today. And Dick Johnson's saying, I'll loom with you and try and come through at the same time. I don't think Johnson's quite so concerned about winning the argument, but I can tell you that the man in 05 is determined in his own mind to win the argument with the man in the white car in the lead, and the white car driver is just as determined that he will not win the argument, and that's going to happen sometime in the next 2 laps.
Here comes Brock down the outside of Grice. It's going to be a big braking duel. Again the outside for Brock,
and Brock this time is more determined, but cannot do it. They're on their final lap, the final 2.41 kilometres, with Allan Grice leading from Peter Brock and Dick Johnson, the newly titled champion for the 3rd time. And Grice is sprinting now for these corners to try and make the gap sufficient, but Brock can't threaten down one side or t'other, and he stopped him from doing it there. Grice cost him a lock-up of the left front, and Grice, I think, has got it covered well enough, as 0.6 of a second blanket the first 3 in the final round of the 1984 Touring Car Championship. It is Allan Grice leading from Peter Brock to the finishing line, and from Dick Johnson, the champion this year. And that's the way they finished in round 7 of the Australian Touring Car Championship. Allan Grice Commodore from Peter Brock Commodore, and Dick Johnson Ford Falcon, the reigning champion for this year. They're chatting with Allan Grice, the man who's put an enormous amount of fire in the Touring Car Championship last year, but has equally finished this year on a great fighting note.